Wow, that line, it just hits you, right? It tells you everything you need to know. It's not the storm they're afraid of. It's the silence after. That's where the real horror lives. All right, let's get into this. So, we're not just here to retell some spooky ghost story. No, we're going to do something way more interesting. We're going to deconstruct this legend. We're going to pull it apart to see what really makes it tick. We're talking about how these stories are born, why they get under our skin, and what happens when someone who doesn't believe at all comes face to face with something that, well, something that just is.
Everything. I mean, everything in this story comes back to a sound. A wet, rhythmic, sobbing sound. But what is it, really? Is it just, an acoustic trick? The wind howling through some weirdly shaped rocks? Or is it something more? Could grief be so powerful, so raw, that it actually becomes a physical thing you can hear? That's the real mystery we're digging into. Okay, so every great legend needs a setting, right? A home. And to understand this one, we need to go to a little town called Oakhaven.
So picture this place, Oakhaven. It's perched right on these cliffs, getting hammered by the sea all the time. And the whole town lives with this sound just hanging over them. But here's the crazy part. They're not scared of the storm. No, what terrifies them is when the storm stops and everything goes quiet. Because that's when you can hear it. That's when you can hear the widows weeping. And for them, that sound is a warning.
And right into the middle of this superstitious, terrified town walks our main guy. You know the type, right? He's the skeptic, the outsider who thinks he knows better. He's basically us, or at least the part of us that says, nah, there's got to be a logical explanation. And this is where the sparks are really gonna fly.
His name is Elias, and this guy is all about facts, logic, science. His skepticism is practically a force field. And where does he move? Of course, he moves into the old lighthouse keeper's cottage. I mean, it's ground zero for the entire legend. He's absolutely convinced he's going to debunk the whole thing. He looks at the town's fear and just sees ignorance.
And this just sums up the whole conflict perfectly. You've got Elias, Mr. Rational, with his neat little explanation. It's just wind, simple acoustics. Sounds reasonable, right? But then you get the bartender's warning. The wind don't leave saltwater footprints on a dry porch. Boom, one sentence, and it just shatters Elias's whole worldview. It's simple, it's spooky, and it's based on physical evidence. The wind doesn't leave footprints.
Okay, so the scene is set. We've got our skeptic in the supposedly haunted cottage. Now it's time to see what happens when the legend decides to, well, introduce itself. This is where the story really kicks into gear.
And things escalate fast, like really fast. The first night, nothing. Dead silent. You could just imagine Elias smirking to himself, thinking he was right all along. But then night 2 hits, and at exactly 2:14 a.m., the sound starts. And it's not just a sound. It brings proof with it. Proof he absolutely cannot explain away.
Think about that description for a second. It's not just a sad sound. It's a sob so heavy, it felt like it had weight, like it was physically pressing down on him. That's not wind. That is a presence. It's the first real clue that he's dealing with something far beyond acoustics.
So right here, this is the point of no return for his skepticism. Let's just run down the list, shall we? The sound is right outside his window. There are 2 wet palm prints on the outside. The liquid, it's thick, cloudy, and smells like brine and rot. His whole wind theory is just gone, blown away. He has cold, hard, physical proof that something is out there.
And this is where it gets really bad. Because up until now, it's been an outside threat, but the line has been crossed. The legend isn't just knocking on the door anymore, it's inside the house.
Yeah. By night 4, it wasn't outside. A simple sentence, but absolutely terrifying. His safe space, his rational little cottage, it's not safe anymore. Whatever it is now in there with him.
Okay, so let's walk through how this happens, because the buildup is incredible. He wakes up to a sound. Drip. Slap. Drip. Horrible. Then he sees his bedside table is just covered in this fine white salt. And then he sees her. A figure, dressed in soaked black lace. And the worst part? There's no face. Just a veil clinging to, well, to empty space. That's classic horror. What you can't see is always 1,000 times scarier. And what does Elias do? In this moment of pure terror, he does the most human thing imaginable. He asks a question. He whispers, "Why are you here?" He's still trying to find logic, a reason. It's the last, desperate act of a man who believes the world is supposed to make sense.
And her answer? It's not words, it's not an explanation, it's just chaos. A tidal wave of salt water pouring from where her face should be. An impossible, relentless flood. You can't reason with that. You can't debate a force of nature.
And he goes down. He falls. And the story says his lungs are burning with the scent of a 1,000-year-old shipwreck. Can you imagine that? It's not just water. He's breathing in centuries of decay and loss. He's breathing in the very essence of the tragedy. And then, in the middle of all that chaos, everything stops. And she touches his chest. And this is the real horror. Where her fingers touch him, his skin doesn't bruise, it doesn't bleed, it crystallizes. He's not being killed, he's being transformed, changed into something else, something mineral, something brittle.
So, what does that even look like in the morning? What's left after a night like that? Well, this is the aftermath. And believe me, the final twist is something else.
When the townspeople find the cottage, it's bone dry. No water, no seaweed, no trace of the struggle. It's completely clean, except for one thing. Elias is there, standing in his bedroom. Only he's not Elias anymore. He's a statue. A perfect, hollow shell of shimmering white salt, literally frozen in place.
And then, the wind picks up. The very same wind that Elias was so sure was the cause of everything. And as it whistles through the open window, it finds something new to play through.
It makes a sound, a low, shuddering sob. The irony is just brutal. The man who came to disprove the legend has become the legend. The wind blowing through his new crystallized body is now the source of the weeping. He didn't solve the mystery. He became a part of it.
And that's the final, chilling thought, isn't it? The widow finally had company. This legend, it wasn't just a story being told. It was waiting. It was lonely. And now, because a man of science refused to believe, she's not alone anymore. It makes you wonder, who's going to be keeping them company next?